Okay, so welcome back, I would say. So the course plan I was talking about, the initially we will discuss about the different building blocks of any programming language, that the kind of construct that we use to first use variables or the data and then variables in our programming, our program. And then we will see the construct, the control flow structures like if statements or while loops. Again, I can see Mr. Karan has not kept his mic. Dr. Vijay, you please take care of. So we'll be discussing about the control flow structure, which is like the basic building blocks for programs in terms of writing conditional statements, conditional instructions, loop instructions, right? So how do we iterate over some instruction over a number of times? So those loops, constructs, and then the functions, right? In fact, I'm going to discuss about those functions in some details in this class as well as in the next class, which will allow you to get familiar with when we solve problems. So do we divide the problems into small problems, right? Say big problem, how do we solve a big problem? That we divide this into small problems so that we can solve these small problems rather than solving that big problem all at once. And that the subdivided problem can be further divided if this subdivision is still not small enough, right? Or at that level so that we can solve it directly. So there is an approach called divide and conquer that we apply everywhere, right? We solve problems by applying this divide and conquer, whether you know it explicitly or don't know it, but we in our daily life use this idea of dividing and conquering the bigger problems, right? The same idea in terms of writing programs is going to work out for us for solving problems, right? So if a slightly bigger problems is given, we will see that what are the different parts of this problem, and we are going to write those parts, and we'll see that very soon that those parts can be coded in terms of functions. So these parts, which is doing some useful stuff, useful like functionality, they will be coded as a separate functions, and then the main solution will make use of all those parts, right? Which will fit all those parts in a nice manner so that you get the solution of the original problem. So that design, the approach of designing the solution, we are going to discuss in this course throughout the course. So the functions are very important. And one of the most basic building blocks of programming, right? Then recursion is like calling function, I mean a function calling itself, which will be a very interesting proposition, and we'll see that and why it happens and how it is going to help solve some problem, in what way. So in what scenario this is a very good idea, and what scenario this might not be the right idea. We need to understand for all this construct that we will be discussing in this course, that when to use, how to use them, and how to write your program using all these different constructs, right? So design of a solution is nothing but figuring out that what construct, programming construct that you are going to use. And these constructs are not specific to Python only. These are general purpose programming construct, which you will find come in any language, right? And therefore they are also available in Python. Then we will be taking some advanced data types, which will help our life much simpler when we deal with lot of data. So how you are going to deal with large data. I'm not saying the big data which you heard about, big data analytics and all those kind of stuff. I mean, that is much bigger than what we will be discussing in this course. But still, you will get an understanding, like when we say that if the data is big, then what it takes, like what does it mean? So we will be able to put those things in proper perspective, right? So in the advanced data type, we'll be discussing about the list, which is similar to arrays. If some of you are familiar with C language, you know that arrays, we have list here, and this list are much more powerful than those arrays that you might have used in C programming. You have done it. Then we will have sets, tuples, dictionary. These are for, again, like data, advanced data type, which is like the kind of collection data. So they can collect, they can store a lot of data in them, so that they can be further used. Now, which data structures? So we can say in some sense like they are data structure. And we can use this data structure because they allow data to be organized in a specific way, and then to be stored or to be retrieved or to be searched in that collection, right? So that it will be very interesting to figure out that what kind of organization these data types, these advanced data types, they provide, and when we can use any of these data types, right? So what data types to be used at what situation? So we'll see that there will be definitely some rationale behind that. For given this scenario, we will go for a particular data type, or given some other scenario, we will be using different data type, different data structure. But there's one important distinction at this point of time when I say that advanced data types, like these are the language supported data types, whereas data structures, which is like you might have heard about this term data structures, is typically like abstract data type, which is a user defined data type. So we define some data organization from our side which satisfies certain needs of some problem to be solved, right? And therefore the data is to be organized in a very specific way. And when it is defined by the user itself, by the programmer itself, then it is a data structure. But then I am using this term data structure here also for the reason that you will find that it will be certain organization of the data. I mean, you can have a lot of data which can be stored in those advanced data type, and there are operations which will be applicable on those data. So the one fundamental of programming language is like we should be having our familiarity with different data types, right? Simple data type, and then advanced data types also. And at the same time, we will be able to figure out, we should be knowing that what operations are applicable to those data, whether they are simple data or they are advanced data. Because once you know that how to just a minute. So if you know, right, that what data types are available for you to use and what operations you can perform, then while you design the solution, while you come up with the sketch of the solution, you can figure out that you will be actually storing your data in this way and performing data manipulations, or performing some data operations, processing those data in some specific way. And all those steps, all those like instructions, like in the form of instructions, all these steps will be like coded in some sequence, and that will be called program, right? So gradually you will start with very small things, but then very soon we will start writing a good size program where those programs will be able to do some non-trivial functionality, they deliver non-trivial. Then we are going to discuss about the exception handling, which is like so here I am, this exception handling, where we will be able to figure out that while your program is executing, there may be situation at the runtime the program encounters certain kind of errors, right? And in normal course, if those errors are not handled, so your program will crash. I mean, errors will make your program crash. I mean, And when I say crash, means program will terminate abruptly. I mean, giving without any notice, and that's bad, right? This you might have seen. I mean, when you might be like using some web applications, like IRCTC site or booking something, right? Purchasing some item from some e-commerce website. So these are designed in a such a way so not many errors that used to come across, but you might have seen like something like page not found, or that window getting closed without giving any clue of that what has happened. So these are nothing but the kind of like abrupt termination of those applications, those programs, right? And these are bad. I mean, this results in bad experience to the user. As a developer, as a designer of the solution, you would not like those things to happen. So you will see that at this level, while you write your program, you can write some additional code which will be dealing with those errors, and which we typically call as exceptions, right? So exceptions, which is something which is unusual, may happen during the execution, and that can be taken care of, so your program will not terminate. So exception handling will allow your program to convert more robust, right? So even if like you give different kind of data which is not expected, but still your program will not finish, or will not terminate. Rather than it will give a right message to the user that this is what's supposed to be done, and what you did is not correct. So you do it again. So those kind of things are much better idea, like when you interact with a machine, right? So machine not responding, or machine responding in a sensible way. So we will be like able to see here, we will be able to write some code which will be able to figure out that if there are those unusual situation arises during the runtime, during the execution time when your program will run, then those unusual situation can also be handled without your program getting crashed, right? So we'll see that this is wonderful stuff in terms of like writing good code and writing fail-safe code. You might have heard about this term fail-safe, which is like even there are failures or like unusual situation encountered by your code, still it doesn't crash it, right? And then we will be discussing in week 11 around like file handling, where see when we need to deal with lots of data, where the data will come from, right? So you cannot expect that a person sitting on the computer is inserting data every time, right? Data must be like automatically getting available to your program. So from where it can come? It can come from a file, right? So for earlier part of this course, we will be providing data through our keyboard and this interface, right? Computer interface, right? But later you will see that it will be unnecessary, because every time you run your program, you insert your data. So if the data is very small, like just like 2-3 numbers, 10 numbers, then that's fine. I mean, you can give it every time. But then if the data is in terms of like 1,000 like integers, or 1,000 strings, 1,000 names, or 10,000 or 100,000, right? Different kind of data. So you cannot insert all that manually, obviously. So for all that kind of situation, and therefore for the real problem solving, we are going to store our data in files. And from those files, we can read the data, store it in some file, in some data organization, while our program is getting executed, and manipulate the data, and maybe if needed we can store back the processed data back to files, right? So this is how our data storage can become permanent, and they are not going to lost. So one thing, like when you run a program and you provide some data, and let's say when program finishes, whatever like data that you provided all are gone, right? When you run it again, then it's like new instance of this program which is running, and it will need its own data. So you need to provide it again, and when it terminates, it finishes, then again your data is gone. So obviously this is for some small purpose, that's fine, but then for real life problem solving, this will not help. So what will help is like you store your data in some permanent place, which is like files. And later on, if some of you might be interested, because you are not from CS, so we have like a databases as a course in CS, where we also have very sophisticated and specialized software systems like databases, where the data can be stored and can be retrieved, can be queried very quickly. So these are the very especially designed software system which will allow to store the data, retrieve the data, manipulate the data very efficiently, right? So that kind of task can become quite efficient. So we have a separate course here in the NCS. For any of you who are further interested in software development or like writing bigger applications where a lot of data is being like manipulated. So for example, you would like to like work for in the area of machine learning, you would require data to be stored somewhere and probably in a database or maybe like in files. So you will be accessing the data from the files. So reading those data from the files is what we are going to discuss here. Then we'll be discussing about the modules and packages. So the point is like when you write a solution, you are going to make use of some functions, right? Which will be nothing but one line of code where we can call that function, we can use that function, and the function does a lot of things, but just in over one single statement, we get all that work done. So what are functions? Functions are nothing but, in some sense, like they are separate code which we embed, which we reuse in our main program. So in our program, we are using some function. It looks like that just one small statement or just name of this function. And when you are using it, it is doing some or complex stuff. But then how is it just in one line, these things are being done? So the idea here is this function, the code of function is stored somewhere else, right? It is not available for you in the sense like you will not be able to see that code, but then when you use that function, so what happened that the code of that function automatically get linked with that reference of this function here in your code. And therefore, that code will be automatically executed. That code is stored somewhere else, and you have no idea where it is stored. But then, if you have linked that function to your code with proper, like giving the, in that case, like your language will support you to provide the path where we can connect this function with its definition, that is its code, and you can use those functions. So the point here is this language, Python, is very rich in terms of like library functions. That means it provides you a lot of functions which you can reuse directly. So you don't have to write their code explicitly while you write your program. Because this is kind of like reusable stuff. Things are already being done for you. So we have lots of functions stored in the files. And these files are given like they are the terms that we use is like we call them modules, right? So these functions are stored in those modules, and those modules can further be stored in a directory structured hierarchy where they can be called as package, right? So package can contain modules. Modules can contain like this, and package can contain further sub packages. These modules can contain functions, and therefore, whenever you need to use some code which you don't want to write because it will take a lot of time, and maybe like there may be bugs that you have to fix them. So the better idea is if it is already available, that kind of code is already available, you should be able to just reuse that code in your program so that you don't have to write that part. and your code remains small enough, right? Because you're not writing all that stuff, right? And therefore, your small code can do a lot of things, right? And this is how we actually configure this code, the code, to become such a productive code, because the small amount of code can do a lot of stuff, because you can use this function. So one idea that function about this function is they come as default, many of them, right? We need to know that what functions are available, supported by the language itself. So for example, in Python, what are the different kind of functions which are available, or which can perform different kind of operations, right? Which you might be needing while you design your solution. The another idea, which is even more powerful, which will sound like you can organize your code in terms of those functions. So you can write your own function. So now see the scenario. You have got like some language defined function. I mean, language supported functions. So they come for free. You can use them directly in your code. And using all of that and this code stuff, you can write your own functions also, which you can reuse in your code, or you can allow other people to use those functions. So it's like write once, used multiple times. That's the wonderful idea of coding, right? Reusability. So not everybody is reinventing the wheel. Somebody has already done something for you. So why you would like to do it again? Maybe it's like learning problem. You want to learn, and therefore how that person has done it or how they did it, and therefore we would like to do it so that we can learn that how we do it, how we can do it. This is one idea where we will see that these modules and packages, where we will discuss that how can we create our own modules and packages. So we will here not only learn about the available modules and packages inside Python, but we would also learn about that if you want to have your code reusable, you want to allow your code to be used, right? You want to share it with like as an open source code, create some kind of portal where you can deploy, because you think that you've done something excellent like code, and this code does a lot of useful stuff, and many people might be interested to use this code. So you can actually post somewhere, right, some suitable place on the internet, and people can download from there and use it. So how these modules and packages, which makes this task like much more simpler, and to solve much bigger problems than what we can do. I mean, as you will learn in this course, we will be solving small problems, and by no means they are the real life solutions of those problems which people are looking for. So they are not going to be, I can tell you, right? But what we will be able to learn that how to create, I mean, if you at all like interested to create those kind of solutions, so the path to create those solutions goes through this experience. So this is very important. I mean, unless you have a very good idea of writing program of your own, right? Small program, and gradually like making it larger and larger, bigger and bigger, using other libraries functions, right, in your code, and allowing this program to do some complicated stuff, and gradually you'll see that you can actually write solution to real world problem. So that is where this course is going to provide that. Finally, in the week 13 and 14, I mean, towards the end of this course, we will also look at the fancy stuff in the name of like object-oriented programming. So till before that time, when this topic will come, we will not be actually using those fancy terms. Otherwise, it will make things complicated. So the style of coding that we are going to follow for quite some time till the end, I mean towards the end, is can be referred as function-oriented programming or procedural programming, where we will be focusing our attention on writing functions and writing complex functions which may actually use some other functions, right? So we will be actually solving problem in terms of designing a functional decomposition of that problem. So that is functional approach of software development, or procedural oriented software development, or program development. But towards the end, we will also look at some initial stuff about, like, if you want to write your program in terms of object oriented fashion, that's the alternate approach of designing your solution, right? So that is, one is procedural oriented approach of designing the solution, which will mainly consist of those functions, bigger functions, and all that functional compositions. Here we will be, we can see that we can also design the solution in terms of objects and their interaction. And just like this real world looks like full of objects, and these objects are interacting through some interfaces, right? You hold a suitcase, so that's there is a suitcase, an object. You is also an object, and you hold that suitcase through the handle, which is the interface between you and this one interface. And there can be another one, is like that chain which you unfurl and open up that suitcase. So you have got a few interfaces through which these objects interact. So those kind of ideas will be discussed, and we should be able to see some preliminary stuff here, that how we design solutions using object orientation. But the primary focus of this course will be on functional decomposition, which will be like extend your mathematical understanding of solving problem, right? So you have used functions in mathematics, right? In some sense, like functions doing some task, right? So here we are also like going to use those functions, not really mathematical, but user-defined function, and these functions will carry out certain tasks. We'll take some input, we'll do some processing within the function, and will provide the answer or return some results. So we'll see that what kind of things you can do. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Just one person is good enough. If one person suggests, then that means you all should be able to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Regarding this logistic of this course, we are going to have some TAs, which will be going to help you in the lab assignments, and also like going to monitor your progress closely. And very soon you will be having the complete information about who is your TA, and how you are going to submit your assignments, your programs, and how these programs are going to be evaluated, and how you're going to get scores out of your programs. So what it will take to have better score, higher score than lower score. What will ask for your program getting lower score and your program getting higher scores. Very soon, I mean, within this week or maybe next week, things will be very much streamlined, so you don't have to bother too much about it. The coding platform is going to be a Visual Studio Code, VS Code, which is like a free software, free code development platform. It's in short, it is called VS Code, and it's a very popular platform to write software. And though there are many other simple and more involved, more advanced kind of platforms like PyCharm, and we can actually, many people may prefer Jupyter Notebook or Colab to write like Python program and execute them, run them, see what kind of output they provide, and therefore the whole programming experience can be done using all other these platforms as well. But for this course, we have chosen Visual Studio Code. There are a few reasons to use this IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, right? So that means, for learning programming, which is the very basic stuff, while you think of writing software, right? But many of you might be interested, like that if they might be interested is like writing programs and eventually writing software, solving problems by writing softwares. Softwares, which is like and programs. So there is some difference between software and program. Program is the code part of it, but when you talk about software, it will take a lot of other stuff also to understand that what are the needs of, what are the problem, what problem to be solved, who is going to use it, and whether the solution is having desired quality, desired functionality, and other non-functional quality like performance, security, usability, like portability. So you'll see that software will take a lot of like other stuff also besides code. Code is central to software, but then there are many other things which you need to learn before you can actually write software which are useful, which provide which make their clients happy. That this was a wonderful app. For example, you see, you use this mobile phone quite a lot, right? And there are lots of apps inside it, and you know that you love some of the apps, and you don't you're not impressed by some other apps, and you've deleted those apps from your mobile because they were not functioning and they were getting crashed or taking a lot of time or some other like they're not that useful. So you see, those they are also like in sometimes there's a lot of code like underneath those apps, but you didn't like it. So you see that it will take a lot of other stuff also to write a successful software. But that will be out of the scope of this course. But then I can tell you, like, this Visual Studio Code is a kind of the complete platform where you can manage all different components of the software within one single environment. And that is provided by VS Code. It's not that the VS Code is the only IDE. There are many other IDEs also, but this is nowadays like considered as very efficient and very useful IDE. It's a free, because lots of other IDE are like they're not for free, and different companies use different IDEs for developing their software. But I can tell you, like, this Visual Studio Code, VS Code, is getting more and more popular. So not just writing these elementary programs or this program, different kind of program that we'll write in this course, but if you want to like go further in terms of like making your experience more and more rich, and eventually developing like those apps or web applications or some standalone software, big software, you'll find that this will provide all those important placeholders to accommodate various needs while you solve those problems, right? The solution. You can also, like, you might have heard about like GitHub, where people share their repository, their code, right? And the software development industry, right? They need also like these kind of repository. And many of them actually uses GitHub to like store their code on GitHub, and there are multiple developers. They can simultaneously use and work on the same program, right? So this will be useful, though initially you may see a lot of like stuff provided in Visual Studio Code, and which may not be useful also, because at this point of time we don't need all of that or most of that. But don't worry, once you are becoming familiar with this environment, and gradually as your experience will become richer and richer, you will see that there are more value addition that can be done in your learning, right? You can synchronize your code to GitHub code directly through this platform. So this is something which is very interesting and very useful, but if you don't follow at this point of time, don't worry about too much. For all our purposes, it will be useful. It will be able to provide us. You can write the program, you can execute those program, provide the inputs, see the outputs. We can also write the test cases. So we'll see that how we can actually test our program ourselves, or how we as an evaluator, your TA as an evaluator is going to test your program. And can this program be automatically run on those test cases? So we'll see that these test cases business also can make things easier to understand that what it takes to write a good code. I mean, what we can say that this was a good code in terms of functionality it provided, it satisfied the problem definition. So this is the right code which solved this problem, or that code is not good enough. It has some issues. So those issues can be surfaced by those test cases. So we'll see that we can test our own program. So again, I would repeat here that if you don't follow this test case business, don't worry too much. It will come gradually, and I'm not going to give you all those test cases in just a week only. Yeah, as and when it will be required, we will be providing the relevant details, right? And you will be much more comfortable than to understand that what it intended. But just because this is the orientation session for this course, so I should mention those kind of things. Okay. Some more logistic is about as you know that we will have this 2-hour session, which is like more of instruction session, where we will be discussing about those programming constructs, their usability, I mean, where to use them. We'll solve some examples here. So we'll be having some code demo during this lecture sessions, and then followed by a lab session, which is like on the same day, which today, on every Wednesday. That is going to be 3-hour session from 2 to 5 p.m. Right? And now, you know that we have 305 students. So at this point of time, the 289, I can see they are here. They're present over in the session. So there are some students, for some reason, they are not there, right? Obviously, this is a very important session to understand the logistic. Otherwise, you can be confused at many times if you're not very clear about that what we started with all those instructions. And I'll take the question answer later in this session. So just keep your questions ready when we will take them. These students are divided for now. It's like 4 batches. You know that B1, B2, B3, B4. But for this online mode, we are going to have like just one single batch, right? So that means all 305 students will be attending the lecture session as well as the lab session. So this 3-hour lab session is divided into 2 parts again, right? So it will be having a common lab session for all 305 students. So that is from 2 to 3. And then from 3 to 5, it will be a TA monitored session. So you will be joining one more like Zoom link, which like the other Zoom link, which will be shared by your TA. And each of those monitored session will be small size, very small size. Just I guess there are 11 students and 1 TA. These 12 people will be actually working together, sharing their learning and helping each other in some sense. But I would suggest that you should be like following most of the time DIY, do it yourself style of writing programs, right? So though TA will be helpful, they will provide in case if you need really some, you're stuck and there is no way you are able to make further progress, they may help you. But try to solve your problems yourself, right? This is very important for programming learning, right? You will see that programming cannot be learned by reading books or reading or going through lectures, attending online courses. Programming can only be learned by writing programs. And for all that practical purposes, you need to write all those things, right? You might be struggling, right? There will be bugs, there will be issue. You may not be getting outputs as desired. There may be some logical errors or bugs in your program, which you need to find yourself. You need to fix them. So that means you're going to correct them. So that kind of experience has to be adapted for. I mean, you need to have that this rigorous experience of writing code, debugging your code, figuring out the issue in your code, correcting them, re-executing them, and providing the data, input data, and looking for that if it provides the right answer, right output. So basically, in program, you can consider this program takes some input and provide some output. And just like functions also, it will take some input and provide some output. And that program, your main program, which I would call as main program. I mean, all the time I will be using this term main program. You must understand this will be your main logic of your code, which might use some other functions. Right? So functions will be building blocks of your code, your design of this solution, where you will be writing them also, and then calling those functions in your main code, which will actually solve the problem. Right? This is how it is going to get worked out. And don't worry, I mean, if it sounds a little complex, don't worry. I mean, this all things are straightforward, very straightforward. It's just like you need to be there, and then you'll find that yes, these are also. Okay. More important course logistic is like 80% attendance is mandatory for appearing in final exam for clearing this course. So I think this is just like sounds like a constraint, right? And I don't think the students like to have constraints, to have like this something force on them, 80%. So what if I don't attend this? And so generally, I mean, this as we grow up from our childhood and get to your stage, you get a lot of instructions from your elders, from your big brothers, parents, and probably you might say, people are always like giving me instruction. Why should I be followed? So it may sound like something which is being forced, but I can tell you, like, if this is in your interest, that if you attend more, you will be learn more. You will be able to write your code yourself, and that only will allow you to learn program. And since like this is the time, if you can use this time or let this time just go west, right? And maybe later on you decide you need to have like good programming understanding skills, and then you will repent and probably regret that you didn't put enough effort here. So don't consider this 80% attendance is mandatory, is like a kind of something which is being forced. I mean, I think naturally you should go for 100% attendance. I mean, don't miss out any session, whether it's an instruction session or it's a lab session, you're definitely going to learn. It's always going to provide some return on investment. Whatever time you're going to put it here, I can assure you that you are definitely going to get, even if you know some part of programming. It doesn't mean that you should be skipping some sessions because you know them already. No, just attend them and get your ideas, concept reinforced. And while we will give you those design tips and tricks, we will provide some additional help, which probably you even if you have done all those that programming, you might not have come across those kind of things. It will be good if you attend all those, even if you have done a programming course like this. Right? All lecture sessions will be conducted by me, and the lab sessions will be taken and supervised by Dr. Vijay Pal Singh, which is my colleague. And as I said, this like divided into two parts and blah blah blah. Right? Yes. So this we have already discussed. This course is a 3-credit course, as I understand. So this needs to be corrected. It's a 3 credit, not 5 credit, and we have got 2 lecture hour. This like again like so this is to be corrected. This is old data. So these are 2 lecture hours. We have no tutorial here, but then we can have some tutorial if you wish. And then we have 3 lab hours. And then, so earlier it used to be 5 credit course, but now it's 3 credit course. The credits of all courses have been reduced. So similarly, the credit of this course is also reduced. So it's like 3 credit course. It's like 2 lecture and 3 lab session, 3-hour lab session per week. The evaluation, which is probably some of you might be targeting for that, how to score like a high grade, a good grade, excellent grade here. And you know that your grades are like, they can be like O positive. Then we have this A positive. Sorry, not positive. O, A plus, then we have A, then we have B plus, then B, then C plus, then C and D plus, then D. And then we have this F, which is fail, right? Obviously, none of us would like to have here or anywhere here. I mean, we would like to be like, so 3 persons from your group may get this O, which is stand for outstanding grade. So, but then this will be given to 3 students in your group. It's like 1 for 100 students. We have 300 student class, so it is going to be 3. Or I can give one more, like 4. I can defend this, like I have to answer my third is like why you have given 4 outstanding grades. If I find 4 of you like deserving this, not just 3. But I may not give any student this grade. I mean, this is totally optional one, so not necessarily that you will get. You need to impress me in terms of like your skills. So you have this opportunity, which will be reflected in your grade sheet, and which you can show that you were outstanding in this programming course. And it means a lot. I can tell you like that you score outstanding in programming course. Then we have this A plus, which is equal to 10 out of 10, right? This is also 10 out of 10, but it has the distinction that they were outstanding, right? So you can have like A plus also, but not outstanding, right? So you may score it, and there will be definitely a distinction that goes with my discretion to figure out that can I convert this A plus to O, right? Then we have this A, which is 10 for 9 out of 10. So this is all out of 10 stuff. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And obviously I should not mention this. Though this is 2, but then it's of no use. So you see, you should be targeting for, ideally targeting for O grade, outstanding, but I want to see most of you here A plus or A, whatever. These are the kind of grade you should be scoring in this course. And I will be happy to give these kind of grades only for all of our students. It's absolutely, I don't have to actually, though it is still a relative grading, but I can keep my this curve, which is like the scoring curve, which typically goes from O this, or let's say F this side to O this side, and I need to just get it distributed across, but then I can make it skewed also, right? I can make it this. So don't worry about that. If some of you will definitely get C plus or D plus or D or C. No. We can actually, but then it will depend on your performance. Absolutely. I'll take questions on this grading also, right? This is important, plagiarism policy, no tolerance, right? So this is like 0 tolerance we are going to have observed here. It isn't going to help anybody. I can tell you, right, that there's no point. So people tends to become short-sighted, and this is I consider natural. But try to overcome those like visions where you try to be short-sighted by just asking for help in terms of getting the code and copying it and then submitting it in your name. It's highly unethical for all practical purposes. And for learning, this is like it's making everything a big zero. So we have zero tolerance for plagiarism. So if you anytime you find copying a code or sharing a code, it's not that you copied a code. You might have, I mean, you are good, you're very good in programming, and therefore people or your friends love you in terms of like, this person will do the code and we will simply get this code from this person, right? And we'll submit. So don't get this impression. That's definitely a wrong impression, a false impression, and it's a dangerous impression to have this kind of that if you can take a code from somebody and submit. We are going to apply some plagiarism detector tool, which is like quite advanced nowadays. So you will be in soup if your code is found to be similar to any other. And if there are two people, so both of them, like irrespective of that who is shared and who is copied, it doesn't make any difference here, right? No difference at all as far as this act is concerned. So even if you are very good, you're not authorized to share your code. And if you are no good at all, you're not authorized to ask for code and submit it in your name. No way. Right? So please be aware. I'm not going to repeat it again and again, and you will not be able to have this excuse. You didn't know this. Right? This is very important. These are the instructions which will be like used for submitting your assignment. So how we are going to name those assignments or the type of assignment. So typically what we have planned for is like your coding assignment, programming assignments are going to be two parts. One part you are going to submit at the end of the lab session, which is like 5 p.m. Wednesday. At the end of your lab assignment. So one part you will be submitting that time only, which will allow us to understand that how much you learned, how much you did, right? And these are going to be smaller problems, right? Which you, an average student, can comfortably do it within the stipulated time, which is like 2 hours of time. First hour, as I said, from the lab hours, it's going to be the all common session where we will be discussing about the programming problems, their possible solutions, in some sense like design choices, that how we are going to solve this problem, the solution designs, and then you're going to implement them in the later 2 hours of this lab, right? Okay, the code evaluation and scores, right? So how your code will be evaluated and how much score you're going to get for all your submissions, all your programs. So that will be provided on Canvas portal. So there is this course portal, which is on Canvas. So this course portal, I hope that some of you or many of you might be familiar already with this course portal, which is like, or the Canvas. So the idea here is, that we will be sharing our all course material. So let me share this Canvas portal, how it looks like, and some of you might have got invitations, so you might have already joined, or if you have not got an invitation, then you're going to get invitation by today, where you can join this portal, which is a shared portal among all of us, where you can. So let me show you that portal. Okay. Okay, so this, so I hope that this portal, which is canvas.instructor.com, and then the course number and something like, which is internal to Canvas, and our course is like IT1001, right? So you got this course portal, and obviously this view is different than the student view. So when you will log in, you're going to get I mean, it will look like this view, where there will be announcements. You can see here important announcement, then the assignment will appear here and you have to submit those assignments. Right now there are no assignment, then there are discussions. I mean, we can have discussions here where you can post some query. Obviously, this query should be meaningful for all the batch. It should not be a personal query that you would be making here. Otherwise, it will be, I mean, so for common interest thing, right, for encountering some common problems, or clarification or suggestion or solutions, right? So just like we have there are many portals on internet also, like where you will see that stack trace, for example, where you post your query and you get some answers. So this discussion forum is for discussing how what are the problems being faced and what can be the solutions for those problems. So all of us can share and can get benefits. Some interesting code, some interesting problem can also be posted here, and people can also like interested to solve them. So there's those kind of things, or some tricks and tips will also be like can be posted here. So that will help all of us as a team, right? You will be able to see your grades. So for now, I mean, obviously nothing that short. Then we have this people tab where you will be able to see all other people. So for now, it's like, since you haven't joined, I mean, this is just an anonymous student interface, so it doesn't show any other person, but then you will be able to see all other students in your section. So as I said, we have divided this whole batch B into 28 sections, right? So B11, B12, B13 to B41, B42, 43, 44, 47 to 47, B47. So that's like each, even like B1, that batch 1, B1 is divided into 7 sections, B11, B12, B13, and each section will be assigned a TA. So you will be able to like manage a smaller set of people, I mean, handle or interact with, and the TA will have like a smaller problem to solve and handle in terms of like a small number of students, so that he or she can focus on each of you individually, and you can, if you need it, you can take their help, right? So it's going to be more of personalized monitoring and like progression, which we can ensure, and it's definitely going to be useful. Then we have this quizzes tab where the quizzes, we are going to have like a weekly quiz. So every week we are going to have one quiz, right? And that quiz will be based on the topics cover of that week. So typically on Wednesday in the morning sessions, we'll be covering a particular topic or maybe a couple of topics or whatever. Like that will be the week part of this course. And the quiz will be based on that part as well as the lab part, right? So those quizzes will be like objective type questions or very short answer one-liner questions, mostly like objective type questions only. So maybe like 30-40 minutes of quizzes that will allow you to refresh your understanding and figuring out that if you got a good understanding of that topic. If you score good, if you don't score good, that means that the topic needs to be further like explored, and it should be having a good conference eventually. And then we have the syllabus, and syllabus is nothing but all those that we discussed, like weekly, the topics that we are going to cover, and examples that we are also like going to take during the lecture sessions, and the programs that we'll be working out in the afternoon session. So this is the course portal, right? Where when you log in, you will be landing up on this portal. If there are some issues, then you can contact your TAs and they will help you to get proper login. So this week is the orientation week, and you should get familiarized with all these technology that we are going to use, including this canvas, and the different fashion or the like scenario in which we are going to use this canvas for evaluation, for submitting your assignment, for your grades, for the quizzes, for sharing lectures. We are also like going to share these recordings, lecture recordings, as well as slides and other useful material which is relevant for learning. So don't worry about that. I mean, you will have enough help if you really want to achieve a great deal of like, stuff here in programming course. This course. So let's leave this student view. So I can see like at any time like how it will look like to you, so that I can update accordingly. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. The modus operandi on Zoom sessions, so right, this all will run on Zoom session till you will be asked to come to the campus. So for now, I'm not sure at what time you will come to the campus, but till that time, we will run this course in online mode. And in online mode is like using those sessions, virtual sessions on Zoom platform, right? Now you are in, like, I hope that you are familiar with this. And therefore, these things are like the protocol that you should be following. So join the Zoom using your institute email ID. Don't use your personal email ID to join the Zoom session, because this when you join a Zoom session, your email ID is automatically recorded, right? And it also records the time uh, uh, for which you were like there in the session. So I can tell you, right, this is a kind of disclaimer also, that you should know that what information is being recorded. So your email ID along with the amount of time you attended the session. In terms of like you remain logged in. Attended is a tricky idea here. I mean, you all understand, right? That even if you're logged in, how can I say that you attended it? So your attendance really matters or does not matter. So there are some things which we cannot solve here, and we have to live with whatever like propositions are given here. So we will assume, obviously it is not a very correct assumption, but we will assume that if you remain there the whole session, then probably you will make you made good use of the session, you attended the session. And also like use your full name, your correct name on your like profile, so that when I see these participants, list of participants, I see their name correctly. Should not be using any cryptic or unnecessary those kind of names which doesn't reflect your name. It is important for me to, because otherwise I'm going to remove, I mean, not in this session, but in the next session or what, if you don't have your name, not just roll number, but your name. I want your name, right? You can have name and roll number, that is a good idea. So, right, but then keep your keep a proper name on your profile so that one can understand that this person was so and so, right? So if you answer those questions and you make those constructive suggestions, I'll be definitely making a note of it, that those who are contributing this course, who are actively attending this course. So, and even if like you don't want to interact, just don't worry, but then keep this name very much explicit, right? Your name and your room number. And keep your mic muted all the time until you need to speak, right? You may raise your hand, so I can like ask you to unmute. And so that is a protocol where we can allow this shared channel. This is a shared channel, right? And if the multiple people try to communicate at the same time, you know that there will be collisions. It's something which is we teach in computer network course, where there are many people who are attached to a common communication channel, and they start sending at the same time. So whatever appear on the channel is like garbage, because the data gets all messed up. So no useful communication can be made. So we have to backtrack and again we have to try. So there are protocols which allow them to communicate successfully. And similarly here also, this is the shared channel. All of us, including me and you, all sharing it. So if the communication is successfully done, I mean, we need to follow certain protocols. Then only if like two or three of you start speaking at the same time, you know that we will not be able to do a job. Or if you keep your mic unmuted and some background noise is getting creeped here, right? Obviously, this will disturb everybody. So those kind of things should be avoided as much as. So okay, I'll take I'll take quick questions, right? And then we will have some starting part in the afternoon session. So I'll stop here in terms of like talking about the first technical lecture of this course. This we will cover in the at 2 p.m. So I can take a few questions, right? So what you can do is like you can raise your hands, or that will allow me to.
So Hers, you are raising hand. You can ask questions. Hers Mahajan.
So Harsh, you unmute, and meanwhile all other will be keep muted, and they will keep their mic muted.
Yes, please go ahead, Hers.
So Avdesh Gupta, you can unmute. I mean, you need to unmute your mic and speak out. If you're not.
Sir, what is Python? Explains in short.
What is Python? So we actually not started discussing any programming language stuff at this point of time. Till now, what I provided is just a course logistic. But I can tell you, like, if you have asked this question, Python, the Python is a programming language. So just like you might have heard about C language or C++ or Java, C#, Python is also a language, programming language, where we can write program. So we can write, if you might have seen any program anywhere, which is like writing instructions one by one in some sequence, and these instructions will be given to the eventually will be translated to the machine language and will be executed or will be followed by the machine or the computer. So the computer will take those instructions eventually and will do the job which was mentioned in those instructions. So Python will provide you that kind of platform where you can write those instructions in some specific format, and that this course is actually on this whole Python, that how and solving a problem using programming language like Python, where we can write these kind of programs. Sabyasachi. Yeah,
Sir, will there be any other programming language except Python?
No, just Python. I mean, see, if you like can entrepreneur in the sense like you would like to learn more languages, you're free to do it offline in the sense like not as a part of this course, but you can do in parallel. Like there are nowadays like a lot of good platform like edX or Udemy or Coursera, where there are other languages also, and you can do those courses at the same time. So you can learn multiple languages. But then I can tell you, like, there is no point at this point of time to learn multiple languages. The best idea should be to learn one language comprehensively and start solving problems. And once you know one language, then moving to any other language, even if like you want to learn C, then you will find that it's not very difficult. In just a week time, you will be much more, you will be as comfortable as you are comfortable in Python. So week time or 15 days, you can actually learn any other language. But first language will take some good time, because there will be a lot of like things to learn, to understand, this like which are across which are common across multiple languages, all languages, I would say. which once you know that, so it's just like those things are also appearing in the other language in a slightly different syntax. It's like those statements may be written in a slightly different way, though very similar, but somewhat different. Right? Slightly some differences that will be there, and that we need to actually figure out that okay, if it is in C, then how we do this part, and if it is in Python, then how would you? And you'll find that things are much more easier in Python than in C. So the idea, one important advantage that comes with Python is you don't struggle with the semantics and the syntax of the language per se, right? So you quickly start writing your program and start get going and solving problems rather than you struggle with the syntax, the structure, the cryptic nature of the language. So you find it frightening. And C language, like pointers are difficult to understand, right? And when there are many pointers used in a program, it makes life really, I mean, people get frightened. Understanding that program will be a difficult idea. And it is actually somewhat difficult idea than if the same kind of code is written in Python. So you'll see that the Python will make your life much simpler. And I can tell you, right, there are many reasons for learning Python as a first language. I can tell you, like, around top 10 university across the world, now 7 university has shifted from some other language to Python over the last 5 years. So, I mean, why? Because again, like the fact of the matter is that when, let's say, people, when they use C, they struggle a lot. And throughout that course of like this 4 months, it's like 1 semester time, they were not able to write some good sized program, not able to solve some good problems. In the sense, like they struggled a lot on the syntax part of C, which is a drawback that comes with C. I'm not saying that the C has all the drawbacks and there are no advantage. There is some advantage of C, is like is a faster language in terms of like execution time, and you can have a closer view of your program and data, how it is organized in the memory. But since this is like more, when we talk about this memory interfaces or memory view of the program, it goes with the operating system, and therefore you need to know about this operating system stuff, which is typical in CS, because the operating system is a course in computer science. So the computer science students need to like get to that kind of visualization, and the C allows them to have that kind of visualization, which for us as like having like non-CS set of people, and so mainly interested in solving problem rather than going for understanding the memory view or in detail how things get organized inside a computer. So we are not very much interested. We are more interested in developing our skills in terms of solving problems, writing even like more like intelligent systems, like designing them. You won't be needing actually those kind of stuff. Rather than Python will be much more useful than. So even if you would like to work in IoT or big data analytics or machine learning, AI, you'll find that Python is much better placed and a much better tool to use than C. And C is nowhere when we talk about all those kind of applications. So you see, I mean, there's a lot of advancement that is being made across in AI, machine learning, deep learning, data analytics, data science, and all those things. I mean, this is all like very much Python-centric thing. I mean, there's a lot of help. This tool is quite useful, quite handy to carry out. And even if you are like in the software development, for example, you want to write web application, you design an institute automation system. Like, so there are, I mean, there are web application frameworks like Django, which allow you to design everything in Python. So Python can be used to develop those sophisticated web applications. And I have included many big companies also using Python for carrying on. So I can tell you, like, if you are learning Python, it's like quite a win-win situation for you at this juncture. But if you at some corner of your mind like think about maybe like C better, because computer science people are still learning C, so I should also be learning C. I mean, this is a misnomer, misunderstanding, but still it is has, and if you want to switch over C, you would be able to do it with much ease if you learn Python first. Right, I can tell you, right, this is a nice path, like a better path to learn C rather than learn C directly. But yes.
Sir, I have another question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
It is, I have heard rumored that Python is not preferred during campus placement. Is it true?
No, no, that is not true. Absolutely not true. I mean, see, Python has a drawback. Let's say if you are a CS student and if you appear in GATE examination, then they ask question on C, not in Python. So all their programming problems, I mean, they have, I mean, some good amount of like around, I can say that 10 to 15% of the problems come on programming, and that is like coded in C. If you want to do like, if you want to appear in GATE from computer science. So again, like that's not the case with us. So for CS people, that is again like become an advantageous situation that they learn C rather than, and I can tell you like all those CS students, they will definitely going to learn Python. I mean, they have this data science course using Python in the 3rd semester. So they will learn Python. So they will anyhow going to learn Python, and for all those areas which is like very fascinating area like big data analytics, like data science, that machine learning, deep learning, all those, like Python is the best solution, right? The other solution is R programming, right? But then still the preferred solution is Python. So if you are familiar with Python, I mean, what more you expect from this this kind of course? Yes.
Thank you, sir.
So Shreya, please unmute and quickly go through your question.
Sir, at the starting of the session, you said that there are several courses like machine learning and artificial intelligence. So are they available for BDS students also?
Shreya, you're from BDS, great. So Shreya, we in our institute, we have started the concept of minor.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, very much sure about like whether this minor is being allowed to design student or not, but for all other discipline, I mean, this is, I'm sorry for my small knowledge of, so not exact knowledge of like whether BDS student is allowed those minor or not. But for all those students, right, all other students, they can do minor in, for example, data science. They can do minor in machine learning. So where they will be doing 5 additional courses in AI and machine learning area. And most of them will be actually using Python.
Oh, okay. But according to me, that they should also be allowed for BDS students because there is a
I'm not
course
sure. This is chair. I'm not sure. So this, and I'm not the right person to
okay.
to talk. And so it's like this
Okay.
academic section, which is headed by Dean Academic. So if you have this concern and if it is not allowed, I don't know. I mean, this, please excuse me for this from this question.
Okay.
Since I don't know, so I cannot say anything. But you work out for whether it is allowed or not, and then you can take your case forward.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But I can tell you, like, it is allowed for all other engineering discipline that they can do minor in these advanced areas, which is like more of like CS oriented, and people are doing it. Many students.
Okay.
Anubhav, can you please unmute? And
Hello, sir. Basically, I belong to Hindi medium, so I just want to tell you this is my first programming.
very good. कोई issue नहीं है, Anubhav. I mean, you are at the right place, and we will be helping you from scratch to create. But then don't miss any session, and ask for help whenever needed. Though there are a lot of help which is available on internet And I've seen the most excellent programmers, they, rather than asking help from any third person or second person, I mean, typing their queries on internet, on Google search and getting their results, their answers.
Sir, if there is any 20% of language of Hindi, it would be helpful for me.
20%?
अगर आप 20% अगर आप हिंदी का यूज कर दे तो it will be
कोई
helpful
दिक्कत
for
नहीं है, हम हिंदी में भी बोलेंगे। आपको कोई चीज अगर ऐसी समझ में नहीं आई है, जैसे इंग्लिश में आपको जो समझ में आ गया है वो आप मत रिपीट कराओ, लेकिन जो कोई चीज आपको, अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि कोई ऐसी चीज जो तो आपको समझ में नहीं आई, तो आप बिल्कुल बोल सकते हैं उसको, वी कैन रिपीट, हम उसको हिंदी में बोल देंगे, कोई इशू नहीं, हमें हिंदी अच्छी से आती है, तो हम सब लोग हिंदी अच्छे से जानते
Okay, okay, sir. Thank
हैं।
you.
हाँ, और वी आर प्राउड ऑफ दिस हिंदी ऑल्सो, लाइक इट जस्ट हैपेंड, क्योंकि हमारा जो ये जो एकेडमिक्स है, जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है ना, वो चूंकि काफी ज्यादा इंटरफेस है वेस्ट के साथ, वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज के साथ, यूरोपियन एंड वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज, और जहाँ पे भी हम जाते हैं, मतलब हम सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं सोचते कि इंडिया के लिए ही हम काम करेंगे, हम दुनिया के लिए काम करेंगे। तो जहाँ पे बाहर जहाँ पे भी जाते हैं, वहाँ सब जगह अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस है, तो एक कोई ऐसी लैंग्वेज जहाँ ज्यादातर जो कि जिससे आप बात कर सकें वो है इंग्लिश। मतलब वहां पे आपको लोग, जैसे चाइना में आपको चाइनीज तो मैक्सिमम लोग बोलेंगे, लेकिन कुछ लोग उसमें अगर बोलेंगे तो वो हिंदी नहीं बोलेंगे, वो तो चाइनीज बोलेंगे। तो आप चाइनीज तो सीखेंगे नहीं, तो आप एक ऐसी लैंग्वेज सीख लेते हैं। दैट इज हाउ आई मीन दिस ऑल एजुकेशन इज इन इंग्लिश, allow you to have like better prospects, that you can not only work in India but you can work in any part of India also, and as well as any corner of this world.
Okay, sir.
तो
Thank
मैं
you.
सजेस्ट करूंगा अनुभव कि आप धीरे धीरे इंग्लिश भी सीखें। मतलब इंग्लिश कोई, अरे ठीक है, अंग्रेजों ने हम पे राज किया तो हमें क्यों अंग्रेजी सीखनी चाहिए, वो सब आर्गुमेंट अपनी जगह पे है, लेकिन जो सच है उससे अपन मुंह नहीं मोड़ सकते, है ना।
हाँ सर, वो थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा।
हाँ, नहीं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, अभी आपके पास अच्छा टाइम है, और लेकिन आप बहुत टाइम उसमें मतलब डिले नहीं करें। आप आज से शुरू हो जाएं अपना, कुछ एक आध घंटे पर डे। और आप जैसे और भी लोग होंगे, बहुत लोग होंगे, मेरा भी शुरू में प्रॉब्लम था जब मैंने सब एजुकेशन सिस्टम में, तो ये कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मतलब ऐसा होता है और बहुत जल्दी इससे ओवरकम भी हो जाता है। मतलब हम इंग्लिश भी बोलने लगते हैं, हिंदी भी बोलते हैं, दैट इज फाइन।
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Avi Gupta. Avi,
Yes, sir. So,
yeah.
yes, sir. So my question is that how we will join the Canvas portal, sir?
Oh, so you will be getting an invitation. So all those who are asking for Canvas joining, they might not have received the invitation. So in the afternoon or in the evening time, by night, you will be getting an invitation. All of you will get a Canvas invitation. I can promise this.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Priyanshu.
Good morning, sir. Sir, can you please recommend any programming platform for Python practice?
The platform, we will be using VS Code, and in the afternoon session, we will demonstrate how to install VS Code and install a couple of extension also, which will be useful. एक या दो की जरूरत पड़ेगी अभी, तो उसको कैसे इंस्टॉल करना है, और वो जब इंस्टॉल हो जाएगा, that will be ready, और we will be showing how to run the program. So initial program, छोटे-छोटे programs लिखेंगे और वो आपके सामने रन करेंगे, आप भी रन करेंगे हमारे साथ उस आपके इंस्टॉलेशन पे। हम लोग साइड बाय साइड काम करेंगे उसमें।
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Aniket. And before this, I guess Vikas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vikas,
Sir.
please.
Sir, I do not own a computer or laptop till now. So, sir,
यार मैं सजेस्ट करूंगा कि आप इनमें से कोई चीज होना चाहिए आपके पास, क्योंकि प्रोग्रामिंग सीखनी है ना, तो मोबाइल का बस यही ड्रॉबैक है, बाकी मोबाइल बहुत सही चीज है, लेकिन प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं हो पाती ढंग से।
okay, sir.
तो आप इसको अरेंज कर लें, दोस्त का देख लें, अपने कोई रिश्तेदारों का, किसी का, लाइक, या मतलब अगर आप खरीद नहीं सकते तो, बट समहाउ आपको मैनेज करना पड़ेगा। अगर आप यहाँ होते तो वैसी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, हमारे पास लैब्स अच्छी हैं, सिस्टम्स हैं, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये थोड़ा मैनेज आपको अपने एंड पे करना पड़ेगा।
Okay, sir.
तो दोस्तों से ले लें मदद, किसी ने जैसे कहा, या आप मैनेज कर सकते हो तो खरीद लें डिसेंट सा लैपटॉप, डिसेंट कॉन्फ़िगरेशन के साथ, बहुत हाई एंड नहीं चाहिए अपने को। प्रोग्रामिंग के लिए तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं चाहिए। प्रोग्रामिंग के लिए तो कोई सिंपल सा भी होगा, 3-4 साल पुराना, 5 साल पुराना तो भी चलेगा।
Okay, sir.
Aniket, can you please unmute and
Good afternoon, sir.
yeah, good afternoon.
Sir, my question was that do we need to install VS Code beforehand the afternoon session?
Yes.
So, I mean,
So-
before the afternoon session, should we install it?
No, not before the. In the afternoon session, we will be showing step-by-step procedure to install it, and then
okay,
write
sir.
small code, 1-2 line code. And since we haven't taken any concept programming concept at this point of time, so we are not asking you to start writing big programs. But then yes, we will show some small program, 3-4 line programs, and we will demonstrate, and you will be able to also write them and experiment with them, making some changes here and there. So it's all about it should be a playground for us, right? To
Yes, sir.
make changes whatever we would like to, and इसको ऐसे करके देखें, वैसे करके देखें, ये सब चीजें हम करने की कोशिश करेंगे, और उससे ही हमारी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ना, it will be enhanced.
और सर मेरे लैपटॉप में ग्राफिक्स कार्ड नहीं है और प्रोसेसर भी i3 है, तो उसमें कोई
No issue.
दिक्कत आएगी?
No issue. No issue at all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next, Devulapalli, if I.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, my doubt is, so we'll be using VSC in Canvas platform, right?
Not in Canvas platform. Canvas
Like
is
VS, like
so
we'll
let
be
me-
using VSC, right?
VSC.
Sir, will there be any confusion if we practice in any other platform and come back to VSC in the lab sessions?
Yeah, so your name is
So my name is Ronit, sir.
Ronit. And so it will be, yeah. Thank you for
Yes, sir, that's my surname.
surname.
Devulapalli.
So it's more familiar. And so Ronit, thank you for asking this question. And see, there's one thing I missed here in this morning session to tell you that we have some MOU with some understanding with Microsoft also, and we are doing some research with Microsoft people, and they have allowed us this particular platform to be available, and all its different kind of extension free of cost. And we'll be using some of them, right? And you will be having a much richer experience while you program. So you name it like any. Say, for example, you say that
Sir, like Azure or Collab or like
So-
Jupyter. Jupyter is mostly used, right?
So I can tell you, this Jupyter environment is also available in VS Code. So very exactly similar. I mean, I would say, I'm using multiple terms, exactly and similar, but they're exactly the same thing. That is also available in VS Code. So you will be able to actually use this IPYNB file, which is IPython notebook file, which you probably might have used. Let's say if you have some prior experience, you might have created those IPython notebook files which contain this Python code. So you can use them in VS Code also with the same environment, same kind of look and feel kind of structure.
Okay, sir. Just that was my doubt, because if it causes any confusion between both of them, so
No,
that
you
might
can
affect-
switch. You can switch within the VS Code. You can have pure Python files where there will be only Python code, or you
Yes, sir.
can
Yes,
switch to this IPython notebook environment, which is which you are familiar. It seems like you are familiar with in Colab or Jupyter.
Sir, actually, I've gone through all this through my brother who is doing it. So I've asked that.
Great, very good. No issue. I mean, we have taken care of those kind of things, so don't worry about it. I mean, you will
Yes,
love
sir.
towards the end of this course. I can tell you are going to love this platform, because it will not just allow you to write this code. I mean, you can use this platform for learning any language. This is C or Java or C#, or you can combine this multi language programs across, and create a hybrid application where their programs written in different language can possibly interact, right? And through the same platform. So this is the cross-platform kind of stuff that is also possible here. So
yes, sir.
so
Thank you.
it will be
Actually,
used.
I'm not aware of some terms you've used, like some IPython notebooks you've used. Not that, but the other programming IDEs I've seen, sir. So I was just
No
confused.
issue. This is first. This is Ronit. This is first session, and you people,
Yes, yes,
you
sir.
are welcome to the college. I mean, you are new fresher to the college, and still, if you can talk in these terms, you are already have some good information in your pocket, and you're well off to
Thank you, sir.
start
Thank
your
you so
journey.
much,
No
sir.
issue. So
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure that you're going to do great stuff. I mean, things will take some time, but gradually will get unfolded also, and will be very clear and exciting, and you'll be able to take part of. The next person is. So if once you are done with your question, please keep your hands down so that I can not get confused. You're done, right? So Manjunatha, I don't know how to pronounce.
Good morning, sir.
Good
I have a
morning.
doubt.
Manjunath, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Manjunath. Yeah, please tell me.
Sir, I have no knowledge about programming till class 12th, as the computer science subject is not available in our
No
board
issue,
syllabus.
no issue, Manjunath. I have told you that we are not expecting any background in any language. We will be starting from scratch. Just you need to follow from the from the beginning. You should not miss out any session, otherwise then the things may be a little difficult. But we will be taking you step by step from very basic, very scratch to gradually building bigger programs.
Okay, sir. One other doubt. I don't have a laptop. What specifications do I need to have in my laptop, sir? Please guide me.
See, this is quite a personal choice. People go for a gaming laptop and those kind of stuff. For programming, you don't need any high configuration laptop. Even Core i3 and with some 8 GB RAM or even 4 GB RAM, that should be good enough for you. But then since it's your 4-year course, and later on you may be using some more sophisticated software, so maybe slightly higher configuration, maybe Core i5 or i7, and with 8 GB RAM or 16 GB, depending upon how much you can afford, and that should be good.
Okay, sir. And I don't know how to code anything or.
Don't worry. I told you, right? Don't worry. But just follow our
Okay,
instruction.
sir.
And keep your laptop. I mean, be ready with your laptop or the computer, whichever is available to you, and follow our instruction and do it in parallel. Just don't listen. Just don't waste your time in listening only. Start using it, and we will be sharing all those code files, all those instructions. You can go through them. You can just use them and start writing your code. So everything will be available for you. I mean, you don't have to wait for anything from our side.
From today itself, I need a laptop, sir.
Yes, if it will be better, because in the afternoon instruction session, we will be showing you how to install this VS Code and how to run this very, very small program, very preliminary, the smallest of the programs in Python inside VS Code.
At present, I don't have, sir. I need to buy it. I'll buy it by Saturday or Sunday.
So, okay, no issue. So you can take the help of your TA, which can help you further. So, but then attend the afternoon session, note down.
Yes, sir, I'll attend, sir.
And we'll provide all the instructions. So even if you don't do it today, you can do it on Saturday or Sunday, or wherever the laptop will be available, and you can go through all those instructions and you'll be able to.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Abhishek Ranjan before that, if I missed him.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning.
Will VS Code work on Windows 10, because the laptop I have is quite old and I I'm not able to get it updated to Windows 9 or 10. I've tried to install and I was successful, but I was unable to get it connected with the compiler and all.
So you see, Abhishek, you have the very personal problems, and I hope that we should be refrain discussing personal problem on this public platform where 305 students are supposed to be here, right? So we can take that offline if you have those kind of problems. But then,
Okay.
then you know that how
Okay, sir.
to resolve your problems. So better to resolve as soon as possible. Then,
Okay.
Always like keeping this their own stuff.
Okay,
You
sir.
are in the college now. Rohit Kumar, can you please unmute and
So I have a question.
yes?
How CS students get more packages?
How?
CS students get more packages.
How matlab companies are offering them, so because of like their skill set that they used to get acquired during their 4-year course, so they learn those kind of things which those company finds useful for them because they are writing or solving those problems, and therefore those companies are making better, bigger business, earning more money, and therefore sharing more money with these employees. As simple as
इन मान लीजिए सर हमारा हम लोग का मतलब सीएस का पढ़ाई जो मतलब अभी आप पढ़ा रहे हैं IT1001 में
हाँ
दोनों का सेम होगा कि अलग अलग होगा एक साल
नहीं
तक
नहीं, देखो
जिसमें हम
ऐसा
अपना
है कि देखो नहीं देखो ऐसा प्रोग्रामिंग एक छोटा सा पार्ट है पूरा जो आप 4 साल में करेंगे, सिर्फ प्रोग्रामिंग अकेला थोड़ी करेंगे,
जैसे
है ना। ये तो एक कोर्स है। जरा सोचो, आप फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर में हो, उसमें भी 5 कोर्स कर रहे हो, नहीं कर रहे हो 5 कोर्स,
जी सर
उसमें से एक कोर्स है प्रोग्रामिंग का, तो मतलब एक सेमेस्टर में भी 5 में से एक ही कोर्स है, तो इसका वेटेज मतलब ये इसका जो एक्सपोजर है वो कितना है। तो सीएस के स्टूडेंट कई सारे कोर्सेज में प्रोग्रामिंग करते हैं, उनके कोर्सेज प्रोग्रामिंग ओरिएंटेड कोर्सेज होते हैं, तो उनको प्रोग्रामिंग बाय द एंड ऑफ उनका जो 4 साल का होता है ना, काफी अच्छे से और काफी डिफरेंट टाइप की चीजें वो सीख लेते हैं, बड़े बड़े प्रॉब्लम पे काम कर लेते हैं, तो उनको उनको वो सब चीजें आ जाती हैं। और मैं ऐसा नहीं कह रहा हूँ, आप भी सीख सकते हैं। अगर आपको लगता है कि मुझे सीएस वाले जॉब चाहिए, तो आपको एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट लगाने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि आपको भाई ब्रांच तो आपको दूसरी मिली है,
यस सर
सीएस तो मिली नहीं है, तो आपको वो जो ब्रांच मिली है वो तो पढ़नी पड़ेगी। नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो वो ब्रांच वहीं फेल हो जाएंगे, वहीं आप उसको पूरा नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो फिर दिक्कत हो जाएगी। तो आपको ये
सर
तो जो मिली है उसके लिए तो करना ही है।
ओके
अगर
सर
आपको सीएस वाले के लिए, तो उसमें आपको सारे सीएस कोर्स नहीं करना है, 3 4 6 सीएस कोर्सेज जिसको टारगेट कर लेंगे, तो उससे आपको उतनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग काफी कुछ मतलब उनके बराबर की बात हो जाएगी।
यस सर सर ऐसा नहीं ना कि ऑनलाइन जब हम लोग अभी पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं तो उसमें हम लोग का बेसिक जो है वो मतलब खराब हो सकता है।
खराब हो सकता है, अगर आप ना अटेंटिव नहीं रहे, आपने लॉग इन किया और छोड़ दिया, बोले यार सब बोल रहा है, कोई पकड़ कर रहा है, टीचर करने दो उसको, है ना, हमको क्या करना है उससे। हमने बस उसने अटेंडेंस का बोला, हमने लॉग इन कर दिया, और हम लॉग इन करके कुछ लोग तो बाहर भी निकल गए, या कुछ लोग लॉग इन करके पड़े हुए हैं, अपना दूसरा काम कर रहे हैं, जब मारते मारते जा रहे हैं दोस्तों से बात।
जैसे सर ये जो है जो कोर्स है IT हम प्रैक्टिकल ज्यादा मायने रखता है।
हाँ प्रोग्रामिंग कोर्स है इसमें, इसलिए इसमें जो सबसे ज्यादा वेटेज है प्रोग्रामिंग असाइनमेंट का है 40%।
यस सर
हाँ, तो इसलिए तो आपने देखा होगा, हमने जब वो डिटेल दिया था कि प्रोग्रामिंग असाइनमेंट पे 40% वेटेज है इसका। फिर आपका मिड सेमेस्टर होगा, 20% वेटेज है, एंड सेमेस्टर एग्जाम होगा, उसमें भी वो भी प्रोग्रामिंग ओरिएंटेड एग्जाम ही होने वाले हैं। उसका मतलब जो बड़ा पार्ट है वो प्रोग्रामिंग ओरिएंटेड ही होगा। तो ये कोर्स 70% प्रोग्रामिंग है, 30% थ्योरी है।
थैंक यू सर। तो
चिराग, चलो जल्दी जल्दी आओ लोग, आप लोग तैयार रहा करो, नेक्स्ट पर्सन इन द क्यू। यस
हेलो
प्लीज गो अहेड।
हेलो मैं सर मैं वैष्णव बोल रहा हूँ। मेरा एक
हाँ
क्वेश्चन था।
हाँ बोलो।
What is the difference between text editor and IDEs?
टेक्स्ट
Because I visited the VS Code website and they are marketed as a text editor and PyCharm is marketed as IDE.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, VS कोड भी IDE है। टेक्स्ट एडिटर मतलब उन्होंने किसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में लिखा होगा कि टेक्स्ट एडिटिंग का भी काम हो जाता है उसमें। तो वो IDE में सारे तरह के काम होते हैं कि उसमें आप प्रोग्राम लिख भी सकते हो, उसको रन भी कर
इंटीग्रेटेड डेवलपमेंट।
हाँ रन भी कर सकते हो। उसमें दूसरे जो प्रोग्राम कंपोनेंट जैसे डेटाबेस हो गया या वेब सर्वर का जो है उसका भी इंटरफेस सब उसी प्लेटफॉर्म में, उसी IDE में, उसी में इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं। तो वो सारे कंपोनेंट जब जब हम किसी बड़े सॉफ्टवेयर को लिखते हैं, बनाते हैं, तो उसके जितने भी कंपोनेंट होते हैं अलग अलग, वो सब इंटीग्रेट हो जाते हैं उसमें, सब एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म के अंदर आ जाते हैं। तो इस तरह से उसको IDE बोलते हैं।
ओके।
ठीक है। और जो टेक्स्ट एडिटर का काम है वो है मतलब आपको प्रोग्राम आप एडिटिंग करना है, मतलब प्रोग्राम लिखना। जैसे आप वर्ड में लिखते हो तो आप एडिट करते हो टेक्स्ट,
हाँ यार।
लेकिन वर्ड का जो पीछे का मतलब वर्ड में आपको फॉर्मेटिंग के कारण क्या है, बैकग्राउंड में उसमें बहुत सारी
सिंटैक्स हाईलाइटिंग
बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, वो चीज की जरूरत नहीं होती यहाँ पे। यहाँ पे ये प्रोग्रामिंग का लिखना है, तो इसके लिए टेक्स्ट एडिटर अलग से आते हैं। तो
ठीक है।
हर एक IDE का अपना टेक्स्ट एडिटर होता है, मतलब वो एक
बैकग्राउंड।
हाँ ये एक इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट तो है ही, मतलब एक हमेशा हमेशा ही मिलेगा आपको हर
ठीक है।
IDE में एक एडिटर। लेकिन कुछ टेक्स्ट एडिटर अकेले ही हैं, जैसे नोटपैड है तो सिर्फ टेक्स्ट एडिटर है, आप इसमें भी प्रोग्राम लिख सकते हो। देखो पाइथन का प्रोग्राम आप उसमें भी लिख सकते हो, और इसमें लिख के और जो कमांड प्रॉम्प्ट पे पाइथन जो का कंपाइलर जो कमांड प्रॉम्प्ट वाला उसको इंस्टॉल करके और वो सीधे सीधे कमांड प्रॉम्प्ट से चला भी सकते हो बिना IDE के भी काम। तो वो हम आफ्टरनून में डिस्कस करेंगे, और आपको जरूरत पड़ेगी तो और ज्यादा इसकी डिटेल देंगे कि आप हमारे पास क्या ऑप्शन है। लेकिन IDE में क्या है कि अल्टीमेटली जब बड़ा काम करने जाते हैं, बड़ा सॉफ्टवेयर, अल्टीमेटली ये छोटे छोटे प्रोग्राम जो है जो सीखने के लिए लिख रहे हैं, राइट। अल्टीमेट जो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग है वो तो रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम है, वो बहुत बड़ी होती है, वो छोटी नहीं होती, उसके बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड भी हो सकते हैं कि कुछ पार्ट यहाँ पे कुछ वहाँ पे, कुछ डेटा कहीं दूसरी जगह पे वहां से आ रहा है और वो हमारा जो प्रोग्राम है उसको मैनिपुलेट कर रहा है, और अच्छा ग्राफिक्स कुछ जनरेट कर रहा है, तो ग्राफिकल इंटरफेस भी है उसका। तो बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट होते हैं, और इस सब के लिए हमको इन सब को मैनेज करने के लिए इतना सारा डिफरेंट टाइप की फाइल्स और इन सब का कनेक्शन, इन सबको मैनेज करने के लिए हमें कुछ सपोर्ट चाहिए रहता है, और ये IDE जो है वो उस तरह के सपोर्ट, उस तरह के एनवायरनमेंट है।
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
अमन।
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I am from EC branch. My
Very
question is, we will studying Python C both language in first semester, only Python we teaching in first semester?
यार मैंने जवाब दिया, इसका सिर्फ पाइथन है। आपको C लैंग्वेज जो है वो CSE वालों के लिए है, उसके रीजन है उनको 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 उनके लिए रखने के लिए, और आपके लिए पाइथन रखने के बहुत अच्छे रीजन है। तो आपको, लेकिन आपको 2 लैंग्वेज की जरूरत भी नहीं है, आप पहले एक लैंग्वेज अच्छे से सीख लें, और फिर अगर आपको दूसरी लैंग्वेज की कभी भी जरूरत पड़ेगी आप 1 हफ्ते 10 दिन में दूसरी लैंग्वेज शिफ्ट हो जाएंगे, चिंता ना करें।
Yes sir, thank you sir.
शेख मोहम्मद, sorry.
Yes sir, my question is in exam there will be a problem, so we have to write a code to answer it. So how we write a code, like it will मतलब उसके ऊपर जो मार्क्स मिलेंगे वो अलग अलग होंगे क्या? मीन्स इसने छोटा कोड लिखा, इसने बड़ा कोड लिखा?
नहीं, साइज पे नहीं जाएगा वो, तो आपका जो इनपुट लेके जो आउटपुट देने की बात होगी। हम जब भी आपको कोई प्रोग्राम लिखें बताएंगे लिखने के लिए, कहेंगे असाइनमेंट में देंगे या टेस्ट में देंगे, तो हम बताएंगे, हम देंगे वो इन्फॉर्मेशन कि क्या ये प्रोग्राम क्या इनपुट लेता है और क्या काम करके क्या काम करता है, क्या आउटपुट देता है।
ओके ओके ओके,
उसको वो काम होना चाहिए, राइट। साइज ऑफ द कोड डजंट मैटर,
बस रिजल्ट आना चाहिए that.
हाँ वो रिजल्ट उसके उस तरीके से बनने चाहिए। और फिर उसके बाद हम अंदर जाके डिजाइन भी देखेंगे कि आपका डिजाइन अच्छा है कि नहीं है, आपने कोड जो लिखा है वो एक स्टैंडर्ड स्टाइल में लिखा है कि आपने कुछ भी जोड़ तोड़ के कुछ भी बना दिया है। तो उसकी फॉर्मेटिंग, उसका स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग, उसका डिजाइन, वो चीज भी मैटर करती है, क्योंकि जो इंडस्ट्री में जो कंपनियों में जो कोड लिखे जाते हैं ना वो काफी स्टैंडर्ड स्टाइल में लिखे जाते हैं। और वो उस बारे में भी बात करेंगे हम कोर्स में जब भी जरूरत पड़ेगी। तो वो जरूरी होते हैं क्योंकि वो कोड लिखते किसी और ने है और उसको चेंज कोई और करता है, क्योंकि वो तो बंदा चला गया, अभी चेंज करना है कोड में कौन करेगा। तो अगर क्रिप्टिक स्टाइल में और डिफिकल्ट स्टाइल में लिखा है तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा इसको चेंज करना।
या
हाँ, तो वो सब चीजें बहुत मैटर करती हैं और ये चीजें आपको अभी से समझ में आनी चाहिए ताकि आप वो गलत आदतें, बैड हैबिट्स नहीं डेवलप करें।
ओके, तो वो क्रिप्टेड रहा तो मार्क्स कटेंगे, दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ।
अभी हम इतना ज्यादा देखो, उतना ज्यादा तुम इसकी चिंता ना करो, तुम कोशिश करो कि तुम हमारी इंस्ट्रक्शंस फॉलो करो और ऑटोमेटिकली दिस विल अलाउ ए गुड सेट ऑफ प्रैक्टिसेस गेट inculcated in your programming style और तुमको समझ में आ जाएगा अरे हम तो ऑलरेडी ये चीज इस तरीके से करते हैं, तो फिर आपको वो चीज सीख मतलब अलग से सीखने, समझने और चेंज करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर।
है ना, बस आप हमारी इंस्ट्रक्शंस फॉलो करो।
या श्योरली।
हाँ भाई, शार्थ।
Yes, sir. Sir, I want to ask that I am a mechanical student, but I want to be in IT field after 4 years. So what can I do?
ठीक है शार्थ, मतलब ऐसे आप जो भी और भी लोग हों अगर, तो हम उनके लिए अलग से कुछ सेशन लेके हम आपको बताएंगे कि इन 4 सालों में आपको किस तरीके से वो जो आईटी में कैरियर बनाना है तो कैसे कर सकते हैं।
Yes, sir.
तो
Sir,
ये
actually,
ये एक सिंपल सा आंसर नहीं होगा इसका।
yes, sir.
It will take some time and we are already out of time, but still I am taking some questions. आपको
Yes,
कोई
sir.
लैब तो नहीं, क्लास तो नहीं है?
नहीं सर, अभी तो नहीं कोई क्लास।
चलो ठीक है, तो then you can continue and I can give
सर ये कोडिंग हम लोग की ये फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर में रहेगी या ऑल आउट पूरे 4 ईयर में रहेगी?
नहीं, ये आपको अपने कोर्सेज, मुझे बहुत ज्यादा पता नहीं है आपके जो करिकुलम है उसमें कोर्सेज का। कुछ कोर्सेज में कोडिंग होती है लेकिन सीएस में ज्यादातर कोर्सेज कोडिंग के ही हैं, मतलब मोस्ट ऑफ द कोर्सेज आर कोडिंग ओरिएंटेड। वेयरएज आपके केस में नहीं मालूम मुझे, आपको फिगर आउट करना पड़ेगा कि उस कोर्स में कोई कोडिंग पार्ट है कि नहीं।
यस सर। ओके सर, थैंक यू।
कौस्तुभ।
Good morning, sir. I had the same doubt as earlier Unonit had. So what happened is that previously I have used Python idle. So I was wondering how difficult it would be or how easy it would be to switch from Python idle to VSC or Visual Studio.
Just a couple of maybe less than an hour time or maybe just half an hour time.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sapna.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I want to ask that can we use Python code in PyCharm instead of VS Code?
No, don't use PyCharm. I mean, we have decided to use a particular ID. So obviously we would like all our students to follow this. PyCharm is a good editor and good ID, but then we have taken this call to use this, and I can assure you that there will be no issues when if you use VS Code. For all work that can be done in PyCharm with whatever ease that can also be done here in VS Code with even further ease, और ज़्यादा आसानी से कर सकते हैं हम यहाँ पे।
Okay sir, thank you sir.
है ना, और बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं दिखेगा आपको PyCharm और उसके लुक एंड फील में, तो डोंट वरी।
Okay sir.
मैटर ऑफ एक दिन से भी कम का, कुछ घंटों का होगा, 1-2 घंटों का भी आप उस फेमिलियर हो जाएंगे।
Okay sir.
हरीश।
Good afternoon, sir. How can we get recordings of these sessions?
हाँ, ये सब कैनवास में जाएंगी, डोंट वरी, कैनवास में अवेलेबल होगी।
Okay, thank you, sir.
जितेंद्र।
Hello, sir. Will there be a theory-based exam or practical exam? Like
So
you
it will
said,
be
there will be.
always 2-part exam. I mean, most of the, see, your quizzes will be the conceptual quizzes, theory based, and your programming exercises will be all programming, and your mid-semester and end semester will have major component as programming. So it's like 40-60% kind of like, or 30-70%. 30% part is like theory part and 70% programming part. Ayush.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I am from EC. सर हम पूछना चाहते थे, ये जो पाइथन कोर्स पढ़ाया जा रहा है इसमें डाटा स्ट्रक्चर एंड एल्गोरिदम और बाइनरी ट्री ये सब भी रहेगा या ये सब मतलब
नहीं
दूसरे
रहेगा,
कोर्स?
मतलब वो आयुष है, वो काफी डिफरेंट मतलब काफी बड़ा एक्सटेंशन है इसका, तो इतना सारी चीजें अपन एक कोर्स में कवर नहीं कर सकते, तो उसके लिए आपको अलग से वो कोर्स करना पड़ेगा। तो अगर आप इसी से है तो आपको करना है तो वो नेट पे अवेलेबल है वो कोर्स, तो वी विल प्रोवाइड यू दैट काइंड ऑफ लिंक, NPTEL और कोर्सेरा, डेक्स, इस पे वो कोर्सेज अवेलेबल है, तो यू कैन डू दोस कोर्सेज।
अच्छा सर, मैंने यूट्यूब पे मतलब कुछ वीडियोस देखे थे, तो उसमें बता रहे थे कि पाइथन में डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स ये सब सीखने के लिए उतने रिसोर्सेस नहीं है, तो मतलब आप अवेलेबल करा देंगे कॉलेज के थ्रू ये सब?
डोंट वरी, हाँ ठीक है, वो आप बिल्कुल, अगर आप इंटरेस्टेड है तो हम आपको डेफिनेटली हेल्प करेंगे।
और सर एक क्वेश्चन और था, आप प्लेगरिज्म पॉलिसी के बारे में बताएं। तो सर आज सभी स्टूडेंट्स तो आपसे ही पढ़ रहे हैं, तो मान लीजिए 2 स्टूडेंट्स मतलब ऑनेस्टली अपना कोड लिखे, बट दोनों का समवेयर मतलब मैच कर जा रहा है,
देखो
तो मतलब उसमें
आयुष,
भी
इसमें हमारा जो एक्सपीरियंस है और जो जनरली होता है कि छोटा कोड होता है 2-3 लाइन का, तो वो तो ठीक है,
जी
लेकिन जब
सर।
आप फंक्शन से बड़े लिखने लगते हैं और थोड़ा सा कोड बढ़ता है, तब वो डिफरेंसेस अपने आप होने लगते हैं, क्योंकि आपका स्टाइल और नेमिंग कन्वेंशन और जो भी है, मतलब लिखने का जो लॉजिक बनाने का होगा, वो
यानी
आपके
सर जो
पास।
यूजर डिफाइंड फंक्शंस वगैरह जो लिखा हुआ रहेगा उससे मतलब देखा जाएगा और ये सब ना?
हाँ ऑब्वियसली, मतलब हम आपके कोड में जो, ऐसा नहीं कि हम ब्लाइंडली उस, अगर उसने बोल दिया कि ये तो कॉपी है तो हमने मान लिया कॉपी, हम फिर उसके बाद जाके देखेंगे कि
जी
किस
सर।
तरीके से कॉपी मान सकते हैं या नहीं मान सकते। चिंता नहीं करो
जी
उसकी,
सर
बट
बहुत।
आप अपना एफर्ट पूरा लगाओ।
जी सर, थैंक यू सर,
Don't
बहुत
don't
बहुत थैंक
worry
यू।
on those marks and grade stuff. They will automatically come, but they उतना ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता। आप सीखें आप, अच्छा सर। ये अगला अगला कौन है, ये नाम थोड़ा मुझे, तो श्री,
सर मैं एक चीज है। हेलो,
यस,
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग
Sir, the IIT Madras is offering online basic course in data science. Na, sir. Should we enroll into that?
if you have time and effort, I'm definitely you can go for it. It should be a good course, data science course, and it definitely either R language or Python. They must be using Python or R.
And sir, I'm from smart manufacturing, sir.
So maybe like I would suggest that in the first year you can slightly wait, or in first semester get comfortable in this environment, do all those courses, and when you find confident enough to manage all this coursework of first semester, and you can spare time, then you can do all those other courses.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Yes, Salam, Selam.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Actually, I'm passionate about developing an app, sir. So
Very good.
I learned Python till pip installing and Flask
Very good,
module.
very good, Selam. This is great that you're already in this business, and you can continue to explore. See, nowadays there's lot of like help available on internet in terms of like courses, in terms of projects, in terms of the other platforms to be learned or integrated, or software development. So you can continue app development. So you can continue on those grounds even if they are not there in your course. You're good going.
Actually, in YouTube, I found that Python is not used for app development, sir. So I want to know which language is used for app development.
App development, generally they use Java.
Okay, sir.
And people are working out a platform for, Python platform for app also. Still not popular, but then you can see.
Kotlin, they said Kotlin is also used.
Kotlin, yes. But then Java is much more familiar for app development. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Aditya Reddy.
Good afternoon, sir. This is
Good
Varun. Sir, when we are practicing assignments and stuff, sometimes I would like to go out of the box. I mean, some unusual questions like that kind of stuff.
Great. It sounds excellent. What you're saying is wonderful.
So,
that's all students must be actually applying these kind of ideas and brain.
Where do you suggest to go for that practice?
So we will be providing you the assignments which you will be doing anyhow, and we'll be providing some challenging problems also. So if you can take those problems, that will be great.
Yes, sir. Beyond assignments, I'm talking.
Yeah,
about.
beyond assignment. I'm also talking about some challenging problems beyond assignment.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good, very good. Harshit.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have hidden a doubt in chat box. Could you answer it?
You have written in the chat box. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The chat box. Can you repeat? Your name is? What is your name? Harshit.
Yes, sir.
The chat. Can you repeat the? I mean, you see, Harshit. Yes, sir. I'm not more like a tech-savvy person, so most of the time I don't even know simple basic definition related to computers. So what should I do for it? No issue. I mean, this all is our job, right? And we will be telling you, and things if you don't follow, you are welcome to ask them to clarify. I mean, for us to clarify, and we will be clarifying that, right? We'll be telling you even detailed definition or detailed clarification or clarification at your level to make you understand what they mean.
Okay, sir.
I hope that it will be helpful. Don't worry. I mean, don't worry. I mean, it's a very honest statement that you made, and I respect that. And I can assure you that we will be, as per your expectation, I mean, we'll provide you all the help that you will need.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so if you're not getting, you can contact me anytime, right? You will be having a TA which will be supposed to provide you those answers or clarifications, clearing those basic definitions, what they mean. And even if you are not clear, then you can always get in.
Okay, sir.
Ankit Joya.
Sir, I am already using VS Code. Need to reinstall it, or can I use previous one?
You can continue to use that platform, that software. Only thing is, we will be asking some extension to include, so you can add that extension. No issue.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Karan. Karan is not there. Saurabh. Ajay, Meena.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
I'm audible.
Yes, please go ahead.
So my name is Azif and I am from mechanical department.
Right.
Sir, I asked that, sir, is
Yeah,
there
please go ahead.
any assignment today?
No assignment. We will be doing things together. Sharing. We will be sharing some code, some practice code, which you will be also like experimenting with it, playing with it. उसके साथ खेलोगे, उसके साथ उसको कुछ changes करोगे, तो थोड़ा एक familiarity हो जाएगा उसके साथ. You will be familiar with this platform, and once you are familiar with this platform, then with next week onward we will be giving you assignment.
Okay, sir. Sir, and I want to ask one thing that today is important that we buy today computer.
Yeah, as much as possible. अगर हो सकता है आज नहीं हो सकता है, इस वीक के एंड तक कर लो. मतलब हम लोगों को जरूरत पड़ेगी उसकी, मतलब उसको डिले करने का कोई मतलब नहीं, जितनी जल्दी कर सकते.
Okay, sir.
विकास चौहान.
Sir, how we can choose a minor course?
फाइनल कोर्स तो अभी से तुम बड़ा सब क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो. अभी चिंता मत करो, ये सेमेस्टर अच्छे से करो अभी, ठीक है?
Okay.
मैं तुम्हारे पूल को हेल्प करूंगा. मैं तुम्हें अच्छा सा एक माइनर जो है वो कैसे कर सकते हो पूरे बताएंगे. लेकिन अभी इस सेमेस्टर में ज्यादा दिमाग मत लगाओ इन चीजों, क्योंकि इस सेमेस्टर में कुछ भी ऐसी चीज नहीं है जिसमें तुम करने से तुमको कोई फायदा होने वाला है और तुम कर पाओगे उसको. या नेक्स्ट समर्थ.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
हाँ,
Sir, I have started learning C++ for like 2 to 3 weeks. Should I continue with that or stick to Python completely?
यार मेरा तो मानना है, क्योंकि ये कोर्स तुम्हारा एक कंपलसरी कोर्स है, तो तुमको उसमें तो अटेम्प्ट करना ही है। तो अगर तुम मैनेज कर पाओगे दोनों चीजों को साइड बाय साइड अलॉन्ग विद अदर एकेडमिक्स जो तुम्हारे दूसरे कोर्सेस है इस सेमेस्टर, वो सब
हाँ
कर
सर,
पाओगे,
वही
वो आपके ऊपर है भाई। देखो मैंने कुछ बच्चों को देखा, दे कैन मैनेज, बट देन फॉर सम अदर इट वाज डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज। सो यू नीड टू डिसाइड, आई कैन नॉट गिव यू एनी यस और नो आंसर।
कोई कोई टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं आएगा ना, मतलब दोनों लैंग्वेज साथ करने में?
कोई टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बस ध्यान रखना, बस दोनों को मिक्स मत करना। चीजें डिफरेंट दोनों लैंग्वेज में, क्योंकि दोनों अलग, थोड़ा डिफरेंट टाइप की लैंग्वेज। ये वो जो C++ है वो स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टैटिक टाइप लैंग्वेज है, ये डायनामिकली टाइप लैंग्वेज है। तो इसमें जैसे वेरिएबल का डिक्लेरेशन वगैरह जो है ना, वो पूरा इंटायरली डिफरेंट होता है दोनों में। अब उसके दोनों दोनों बातें हैं कि ये चीज आप करेंगे तो दोनों को साथ साथ रख के देख सकते हैं कि भाई क्या डिफरेंस है और ऐसा डिफरेंस क्यों है, और ऑल दोस यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड। बट अगर मैस्ड अप हो गया, कुछ कंफ्यूजन हो गया, तो प्रॉब्लम होगी। तो इफ यू कैन मैनेज, द बॉटम लाइन इज दिस।
ठीक, थैंक यू सर।
अर्षित।
सर सर एम आई ऑडिबल?
हाँ अर्षित बोलो, गो अहेड।
सर सर हमारी फैमिली अभी इतनी पोजीशन में नहीं है कि अभी लैपटॉप खरीद सके, लेकिन सर हम जल्दी खरीदने की कोशिश करेंगे।
अरे
और
आप
सर
खरीद, देखो अर्षित, नहीं खरीद पा रहे, कहीं से कुछ 2 घंटे 4 घंटे के लिए कहीं जाके कहीं कुछ ऐसे करके मैनेज कर लो। क्योंकि बिना करो, थोड़ा सा देखो, ऐसा है कि अगर इस टाइम को यूजफुल बनाना है तो करना तो पड़ेगा, बिना करे नहीं होगी चीजें।
और सर अभी हम सा कोशिश करते हैं। और सर असाइनमेंट सर अभी मोबाइल से कर सकते हैं क्या सर?
नहीं, करने को तो कर सकते हो आप, लेकिन मोबाइल में बहुत डिफिकल्ट होगा, मतलब थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट होगा। अभी छोटे प्रोग्राम तो 1 आध वीक 2 वीक तक तो चल जाएंगे शायद,
सर तब
लेकिन
तक अरेंज कर सर तब तक अरेंज कर लेंगे सर।
चलो देखो, जैसे तुमको मैनेज करना पड़ेगा, और थोड़ा सा मतलब थोड़ा सिचुएशन, अब तुम मैनेज कर सकते हो तो बहुत अच्छा है। थोड़ा डिसएडवांटेजेस सिचुएशन रहती है, क्योंकि मोबाइल से करना चीजें मुश्किल होती है, थोड़ा सा स्क्रीन होता है, और चीजें आप एक विंडो से दूसरे विंडो शिफ्ट होते हो, गूगल सर्च मारते हो चीजों को करने के लिए, थोड़ा समझने के लिए, सीखने के लिए, वो सब चीजें एक साथ हो नहीं पाती।
ओके सर,
हाँ ठीक है,
थैंक यू सर।
देख लो। तो नाउ आई थिंक वी आर डन। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।
Hello, sir.
हाँ, कौन
Sir,
बोल रहे हैं?
sir, my name is Karan Singh, sir. I am from EC branch. I want to ask sir that sir Python हमें फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर सिखाई जाएगी कि आगे भी कंटिन्यू होगी?
ये पाइथन फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर में है, और फिर 3rd सेमेस्टर में है डेटा स्ट्रक्चर कोर्स, एज ए डेटा स्ट्रक्चर।
तो आगे भी कंटिन्यू होगी ना सर ये? इसके
हाँ,
बाद
ये
सेकंड सेमेस्टर में?
इसी को यूज करके आप डेटा स्ट्रक्चर पढ़ेंगे, इफ आई कैन करेक्टली रिकॉल। आपका 3rd सेमेस्टर में है, ये नॉन CSE स्टूडेंट को 3rd सेमेस्टर में डेटा स्ट्रक्चर यूजिंग पाइथन है।
And so for second semester,
सेकंड सेमेस्टर में कोई
isn't
कोर्स
there
नहीं है। सेकंड सेमेस्टर में कोई कोर्स नहीं है, आई
no
गेस।
programming course for EC
नो
students?
प्रोग्रामिंग, आप अलग से कर लें अपना ऑनलाइन कुछ।
Okay, sir.
ठीक है,
Thank you, sir.
ओके। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग। आई एम क्लोजिंग दिस सेशन।
Thank you, sir.
We will meet at 2 p.m. today.
Okay.